in Spotlight, share. All right, so now let's look at some more applications. So the Disabled Veterans of America did a direct mail fundraising appeal asking for a donation. They got what is normally a really good response, an 18% response. People sent money back. Now they added in, I think you've all seen them, you've all gotten them in the mail by now, the printed return address labels that have your name and address printed on them with like the logo for whatever the organization is. Does everybody nod if you've ever gotten those? Yes, everybody's nodding. Awesome. So what do you think that does to the response rate? What does the response rate go up? Give me your guess in the chat. 35%, 45%, 30, 45, 25. All right. 35% response. You are absolutely right. Noah, they did not go up 9 million%. Thank you for playing. All right. Now, this is a persuasion blooper. By mistake, they had a food company mail out coupons with no discount whatsoever. Instead of like 50 cents off, 75 cents off, the coupon was 0. How many people redeemed the coupon for 0% off? What percentage response rate did they get? Howard says 25, Kristen says 15, Sean says 15, 20, 20, 25. 37% of the people redeemed their coupon for no money. They didn't even intend to test that it actually happened by mistake. And they couldn't believe that people brought in their coupon for no money. Either they didn't notice that it was for 0, or they couldn't believe it was for 0 and wanted to see what would happen. All right, so Sid the suit salesman. This is from an actual menswear store. I sold menswear in high school and early in college at S&K Menswear, which doesn't exist on Transit anymore here. But Sid the suit salesman, older gentleman, would tell people when they were coming shopping for a suit, he would tell them he had a hearing problem. And then the prices weren't on the suits. So when the customer said, well, how much is the suit? Sid yelled to his brother in the back and he said, hey, Jimmy, how much is the double-breasted worsted Pete Rose suit, whatever it's called? His brother would yell back the price. Sid would ask again. His brother would yell back the price, and then Sid would quote an incorrect, cheaper price. So if his brother yelled, it's $500, and Sid said, what? And he said 500, and Sid turns to Howard, who's looking to buy a suit, and says $400. What percentage of customers bought? Bruce and Muddy both say 63. Now you're just copying each other. 40, 50, 40, 50, 50, 87%. 87% of the people bought because they thought they were getting a good deal because Sid made a mistake. They were trying to take advantage of poor Sid. Male college students were shown pictures of girls who wanted to go on a blind date with, and they were asked to rate their attractiveness. 1 to 10. Yes, this is a sexist study. The second group of guys were asked to watch the movie Charlie's Angels and then asked to look at the pictures and rate the girls. What happened? Not looking for a percent, looking for what do you think happened? Yes, the ratings went down absolutely because they were looking at Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu and Drew Barrymore before looking at other pictures. Here's something you can try at home. Get 3 buckets of water. 1 hot water, 1 cold water, 1 lukewarm. You're going to put 1 hand in the hot water, the other hand in the cold water for a minute. Then you're going to pull them out and plunge them both into the lukewarm buckets. What will you perceive? Give me your guess. The principle of contrast. Your brain can't process the dip. You'll kick the bucket. Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Don't then, if you're going to kick the bucket, then don't try that at home because you'll make a mess. All right. This is Joe and Bob. Names changed to protect the guilty, who are at a church social. Joe is our actor. Joe goes to a vending machine, comes back with 2 cans of pop, takes one for himself, gives one to Bob. Bob did not ask him for a can of pop. Then he asked Bob to buy raffle tickets. How many more does Bob buy? What percentage does it go up, as opposed to if they're just standing there and Joe says, buy some raffle tickets, versus if Joe gets Bob a pop he didn't ask for and then asks him to buy tickets? Seriously, Noah's obsessed with the number 9 million. 40%, double, 300. Mr. Bruce wins. It doubles the amount of raffle tickets that Bob will buy, even though he didn't ask for a pop, because he didn't ask for a pop. If you want your clients to buy something expensive, either show them something more money that costs more, or even better, have them write down a number first that's bigger than the number you want. So if I'm selling a Dream 50 service for $3,000 a month, in the proposal, I should, as we're talking, have them take notes, have them write things down. This is why if you do webinars, you should give them a worksheet to fill out, pages in the blank, fill out the blank. It will increase the amount of people who will buy. The best thing that's working for us right now is, instead of, my webinar is now, first chunk is slides, third chunk is slides. The middle chunk, that's the actual content I'm teaching, I'm not doing slides. I'm bringing my iPad and my daughter's Apple Pencil, and I am drawing stuff on my iPad on the screen. I'm drawing a series of drawings and then writing in stuff. And I am telling them they need to bring 5 pieces of paper, and they can't do it on an iPhone or a keyboard. They have to physically draw it. 1, it increases retention, but 2, I'm telling them that I'm a lousy visual artist. My handwriting is terrible. And if they took screenshots of me and my drawings, they won't be able to read them later. So they have to write it down. I've had people yesterday, again, I did 3 webinars back to back. I had people going, oh my God, I've never seen this before. So there's a novelty. I had someone going, I had like 7 people say, oh, I'm a visual person. This is so great that you're drawing. And everybody laughed when I started drawing, and they said, oh yeah, I really do need to write this down. I would never be able to read your handwriting. So
it's like affirmations. Affirmations are much more successful if you write them down every day. You see them happening.
You are absolutely right. In restaurants, they did studies and determined that if you wanted people, you could, if you had them listen to French background music, people would be more likely, even if they didn't know the music, to buy French wine. They don't have to know the song. They don't even have to realize the music is playing in the background, but they are more likely, they will buy more French wine. If you're getting someone to do something they've never done before, whether it's a new product or a new service, or it's new to them, before you pitch, when you're doing the small talk initial section, ask them if they consider themselves adventurous. Because by saying, yes, I do, they will close at a much higher rate. If you want them to buy something popular, show them a scary movie first. Why do you think that works? I mean, we can't necessarily do psychological studies in our office and say, hey, go watch the Blair Witch Project, and then in an hour and a half, I'll talk to you about our product. But why do you think that would work? Muddy says emotions. Absolutely. There's safety in numbers. They're scared. They want to do something to relieve that scared state, even though it has nothing to do with you. And if you want that, and if you're showing them something that is popular, there's safety in numbers. If you want them to feel warmly towards you, hand them a warm beverage. This is why if you come into our physical office, Kristen will try and steer you towards, can I get you coffee or tea? And if you want, and if you say no to both, then she'll offer you water, because the water is cold. I don't want them psychologically, subconsciously feeling cold. I want them to take the warm choice because it'll up our percentage. If you are asking for someone's advice, opinion, as David said, his idea about referrals, if you want them to help you, have in your presentation, for example, have pictures of people standing close together. In our webinar, our transition to our close is I have a picture of a whole bunch of people standing close together, jumping up in the air. And my initial question is, how many of you are excited about what you just learned about? If you want them to focus on what they're going to achieve by doing business with you, show them a picture of a runner winning a race. Subconsciously, they will be more likely to buy. If you want them to be careful and take their time, show them a picture in the presentation of the thinker, by the sculpture, the thinker, the sculpture called the thinker. It will subconsciously make them slow down. No, Bruce, you can't put that in my office to make my energy drop. They applied this with the Boy Scouts, and they had Boy Scouts go door to door and sell tickets to the Boy Scout circus. And then when people said no, they didn't want to buy tickets to the circus, they said, well, then how about buying some of our chocolate bars? They weren't actually trying to sell circus tickets. The goal was to sell candy bars, but they put something bigger, costlier in front of the candy bar purchase so that when they stepped down to the lower purchase, those people would be more likely to buy because they felt bad because they said no to the first thing. Downselling, says Howard. You're absolutely right. So make a larger request first on purpose that you want them to say no to. If they say yes, great, but get rejected and then ask for what you really want. My kids are really good at this. It doesn't work on me because I know what they're doing, but they're really good at doing this to their mother.
Oh, check out what Courtney just put in. That's funny.
Courtney says, years ago, I went to the International Spam Festival. They had a spam sculpting contest. Someone made a 4-foot statue of the thinker made out of spam. Oh my God.
That's brilliant.
I didn't know there was a spam festival. First, I thought we were talking about email spam. You meant the mystery meat. I didn't realize there was a festival. I didn't know anyone liked it. That's incredible. This is literally how Watergate happened. I read a fascinating book that talked about how G. Gordon Liddy originally came to Nixon and the chief of staff and all the other people involved in the decision-making process and pitched them $1 million mission with yachts and call girls and exotic vacations, all designed around garnering influence with people about re-election for Nixon, who was winning in a landslide and didn't need the help. But they obviously rejected his $1 million crazy boat, airplane, private jet idea. So he came back with a $500,000 scaled down version. They said no. He came back with a $250,000 version. They said no. When he came back the last time, which was, let's go break in at the Watergate Hotel and get this information, and this is his scaled down version. It costs, I think it was less than $50,000. They said yes, which obviously cost Nixon his presidency. And when they asked some of the chief of staff, I forget his name, Bruce would know, but when they asked them, why did you guys ever agree to that idea? You were way ahead in the polls. You didn't need to do anything. Why on earth would you have greenlit that project? You knew it was illegal. And they said, well, we felt so bad for him because we had rejected all of his proposals. We figured we had to give him something, and that was the cheapest one, which turned into Watergate. The American Cancer Society cold called and asked people, hey, would you spend 3 hours also calling for us to help us raise money? And the majority of people said no. Like, hey, I'm all for the American Cancer Society. No, I'm not going to spend 3 hours on the phone trying to get people to give money. They then called and asked people if they might consider spending 3 hours collecting money in the future. They also said no. 3 days later, they called and asked if they would be a neighborhood canvasser for the American Cancer Society and just go around in their own neighborhood. 700% people said yes. Not 700% of the people, but there was a 7%. So the 3 hours on the phone, they got rejected. Consider being a neighborhood canvas, but consider hey, would you consider doing this in the future? They had some people who said, sure, I'll consider it, because they weren't asking for a commitment. But when they said later, hey, would you be a neighborhood canvasser? 700% more people said yes, because they had already said no to 2 prior things. So what can you ask them for on purpose that you want them to say no to get to the real thing? In politics, they did a study and they called people and asked if they would predict if they were going to vote on election day. It magically increased the number of people who voted. Because if I predict, I'll probably go. Consistency, I actually go vote. When they just said, are you going to go vote? It didn't have any effect. But they said, can you predict for us if you're going to vote? Magically, the people who predicted were more likely to vote than the people who had just said, yes, I'm going to vote. A hunger relief committee asked if, hey, Tony, can I send a representative to your house to sell you cookies for hunger relief? 18% of those people said, yes, you could send a rep to our house to sell us cookies. They changed it. And before they asked if they could send a rep to Tony's house to sell him cookies, they said, how are you feeling this evening? What do you think that did to the response by asking Tony how he's doing before I ask if I can send a rep to his house to sell him cookies? Give me your guesses in the chat. No, I don't say 9 million. Darn it. Got no. Bruce says doubles. Noah says 8 million. You're so freaking funny. You did that. Muddy says 35, 32% increase in response by asking them how they're feeling. 89% of them actually bought the cookies when the rep showed up. Yes, you crack yourself up. I see that. So it's funny, after studying this for so long, when we get telemarketing phone calls and someone's like, oh, Mr. Green, if I've actually answered the phone, how are you today? And I'm like, just tell me what you actually want. Because I know they're trying to increase my response. So this was the literal Make California Beautiful movement. It's a charity. It's an organization. It's a campaign put on by the state of California, and they went door to door. And they said, can we put a large sign on your lawn that says, Make California Beautiful? Like literally this sign, like they showed them a picture of what the sign would look like. It would literally cover up a large part of the house. 83% of people said no. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks before, they tried something else. Try number 2, new neighborhood. They said, knocked on doors and said, would you display a 3-inch sign that says, be a safe driver? Little 3-inch sign. Then they came back 2 weeks later and said, would you display this giant ugly sign? 76% of them agreed. Even though the Be a Safe Driver sign has nothing to do with Make California Beautiful, and even though they were 2 different people who asked them about the signs, the fact that they had agreed to display the small sign, again, made them 76% more likely to display the giant ugly sign about making California beautiful. And the irony is the Make California Beautiful sign doesn't make California any more beautiful. In New York City, he did a study, and they left a wallet on the ground in Manhattan. It had $20, a check for $26.30, and driver's license, credit card, normal cards that would tell you whose wallet it was. The wallet also had a letter written from the wallet finder to the owner, showing that someone else had already found the wallet, tried to return it, and lost it again. Here's the crazy part. When the letter was in broken English by a self-identified recent immigrant, the wallet was returned 33% of the time by the second person. When the letter was written by an affluent Manhattanite, what did it do to the response? Take your guess. What percentage returned the wallet? Noah's now gone 10%. At least we've gotten away from 9 million. Courtney says decreased. Emma says dropped. 0. 70%. 70% of the people returned the wallet. When the letter, it literally more than doubled the response when the letter saying, I'm trying to mail this envelope, this wallet back to you, was written by someone who was obviously an affluent Manhattan resident. The world's greatest car salesman in the Guinness Book of World Records, Joe, I forget his, I think Girardi, I forget his last name. they asked him what his secret was. He sold more cars in a month than most car salesmen sell in an entire year. And he said, every month I send somebody a warm and fuzzy holiday card that says, I like you. I send thousands a month. And again, he's using our principle of there's a made up holiday every month. Whether Joe Girard, thank you. There's a National Blueberry Month. August, we're about to share with you what August is in a few months, in a few minutes. September's back to school. There's National Ice Cream Day. There's something literally every day of the year if you wanted to use it. But once a month, he sent a card that said, I like you. We talked about at a Tupperware party, they yell Tupperware instead of bingo. They employ the principles of reciprocity because there are games played at a Tupperware party, not because they want them to play games, but because they want you to win a prize. Anyone who doesn't win a game gets a prize anyway, because it's reciprocity. One of the things they do when they go around the circle is every participant has to say what she uses Tupperware for and why she likes it. Even if they don't own any, then they're talking about their own plastic thing they got at Wegmans, but it's commitment, consistency, and social proof. They don't allow you to call it anything else. They don't say, how do you use your plastic storage containers? Even if you don't own Tupperware, you got to call it at the party. You have to call it Tupperware. There's social proof because every person who buys creates more buying momentum. And they use liking and authority because you want to buy for the hostess. I literally, when we were dating, I had to ban my wife. She wasn't my wife yet. I said, you're not allowed to go to any more parties, because every friend of hers did some network marketing thing, whether it was Mary Kay or Tastefully Simple or the Candle Party or Tupperware or whatever it was. Like, it was like every other weekend, one of her friends had some type of party. And she's like, well, I got to buy something for her. I'm like, no, you don't. She's like, well, I feel bad. I mean, she's having the party. I got to buy something. I can't just go hang out. I said, yes, actually you could. She said, no, I got to buy something. Which is the whole point. There's a Tupperware party somewhere on the planet every 15 minutes, and they sell $2.5 million of Tupperware every day, despite COVID. So if we can do something unexpected, surprise and delight, if we can do something meaningful, if we can do something that is customized to that person, it will make all of these principles work even better. So literally, I was watching a software demo yesterday of software that I just bought that does a lot of the research that we do. I have to learn how to use it and teach my team for us. It will literally go find all of someone's social media profiles, tell us what sports they're into, what movies they watch, where they go for dinner, all these kinds of cool pieces of data. Because if, for example, I knew that Howard if I could find, let's say Howard doesn't live in Western New York, and if I just send him a gift card to Chili's, it's nice, but it doesn't mean that much. If I can do this and find Howard's favorite restaurant in his town, and then it's not a chain, I have to physically call them, order the thing, get the gift card sent to me so I can send it to him. If I send him one of those, like if you sent me one from the Buffalo Chop House, it would mean a hell of a lot more to me. I go like, wow, I can't believe you thought of that. Social media is a gold mine of data. You can see people's activity. So if you can make it meaningful, unexpected, and customized, you can put this stuff on steroids. So I'm going to put you in one more breakout. You're going to go talk about what, if any of those application ideas apply to you. You're going to talk, this will be a shorter breakout. You're also going to talk about like what your biggest takeaway was that you can go implement right now. And then we'll move on to our marketing tactic of the month.